Hi guys, and today I'm gonna talk about something I never talked about before, and that I'm talking about are console fanboys. And by now, I'm sure we've already know console fanboys. I mean, there's videos about them literally everywhere. People just heavily biased on Xbox, Nintendo, PlayStation. Just those people that are just telling you to not use a PC for stupid reasons. So yeah, those people are definitely annoying, but I'm gonna do something different this time because this is not gonna be a generic console fanboy video. And despite what the title of the video is saying, this is not necessarily defending them either. Well, I'm talking about what I'm gonna call extremist PC fanboys. And you'd be confused on what that means, and I'm going to explain that. So let's just talk about that right now. So, who are these PC extremists exactly? Well, that's kind of hard to say because we see a lot of videos of people calling out console fanboys, but those people are mostly PC gamers like I am. But lately I've been seeing kind of like a thing where it's some of these people calling out console fanboys just kind of treat console gaming like it's some unholy sin, which which I just don't get because I mean, true, let's face it, console gaming has flaws of its own. I mean, look at the Switch 2, games like $70 to $80. Like, what? That is very dumb in my opinion, but I mean, not that it's unbearable per se, assuming if games on Switch 2 actually go on discounts, which does happen, just not as often as Steam, obviously, but you know, just just people who are just flat out, oh no, you can only pick PC, it's the only viable option for you, and there are definitely examples of this, because my favorite example has to be, oh no, it's Alex. I mean, he's a big channel. He's got almost 95,000 subscribers. He's a big he's a big name on YouTube, and I mean, he's definitely making a lot of videos, but a lot of the videos he's made are just he's definitely got a lot of videos that from what I've heard on like Reddit and other media, just appear to be like full on clickbait. I mean, like he's got videos on PlayStation, like he's got what does he have? He has the PS5 price increase ruin everything. Like, oh man, that is like really? And he's got another one like PlayStation fanboy crashed out defending PS5 Pro. Okay, that's more on fanboys, not really that. And yeah, it goes on. There's definitely a lot of videos that just feel like clickbait, and especially the videos he's made on Nintendo in recent times, because some of the thumbnails that he has are just flat out AI generated, and like that is just extremely dumb in my opinion. Just imagine using AI for making a thumbnail and the video being pretty much clickbait. Like, oh my god, that is just extreme. Like, and yeah, obviously AI generated thumbnails are one thing, sure. And then definitely everyone's in agreement that AI generated stuff is the absolute scum of the earth. I definitely stand on that topic. But if I mean at least the video itself would have the decency to be genuine, if that makes sense. But some of the videos on the Switch 2 are just flat out clickbaity, like what Alex posts. At least from what I've heard, I'm not gonna bother watching, but it's just everything I've heard. And yeah, I can agree. Watching some of his videos, like it's just flat out the thumbnails that just flat out discourage me from watching because, I mean, again, the AI generated thumbnail is just a flat out no for me. Like fuck no. And you thought, oh it can't get bad with Alex's videos on with AI generated pics of Mario for the thumbnails. Oh no, it really gets worse because there's a video I saw by another guy named M64 Bros on Switch 2 Negativity, and he's pretty much addressing it clearly, and calling out the people who are just absolutely hypocritical. And he mentions at one point a another YouTuber by the name of Angry Guy who straight up uses an AI generated pic of Satoru Iwata in the thumbnail, which is just so freaking disrespectful to Iwata. Like, I don't think I even need to explain that myself. Just just people using Iwata's face and legacy against Switch 2 fans, like, seriously, how dumb do these haters have to be? And well, some of these haters probably definitely Nintendo fans themselves, which totally agreeable. But you know, but there's still definitely PC guys who will do the same thing. And I'm sure if Angry Guy is a more PC fan than Nintendo fan, but if that were the case, I wouldn't be that surprised. So yeah, the AI generated thumbnails and just flat out clickbait is one thing, but I guess we should just kind of discuss, the reasons people just tell you not to buy a console and only buy PC. So we may as well just cover that, and just to tell you why bashing on people's opinions on other platforms other than PC is just dumb. Let's just get to that. That should just be the main focus for this video. So the first reason I see a lot pretty often is more has to do with pricing, and for the most part, I think pretty much every modern console, so PS5, Xbox, Switch 2, they're all pretty reasonably priced. I mean, PS5 is $549, and the Xbox Series X can definitely go for a bit more per se, and the Switch 2 being 450 is totally valid in my opinion, even though the Steam Deck 256 gigabyte is only 400. But I think for what you're getting, it's totally a reasonable price, and especially true if you want to play a game but you don't have a good enough PC for it, and but for some reason just real well think spending $1,000 on a pre-build is too much. And yeah, pre-builds are obviously too expensive, but you can still definitely build a PC that and have you can get a bunch of PC parts, build a PC, and still have it be at a similar price to all modern consoles. Of course, you'd need older hardware, but I mean something like an RTX 2070 can still run Doom: The Dark Ages, but people are still kind of skeptical of it, which I totally understand. I mean, because let's face it, the RTX 2070 was from like 2019. It's pretty old GPUs. It doesn't have frame gen support and all that because that stuff wasn't around yet. But if you really needed to get good performance, but the PC you're trying to build or buy, if it's a pre-built, is like $1,000 or something, then in that case you probably may as well just play it on a PS5. Because again, the thing's like half that price. Of course, obviously, you would still need to deal with subscriptions and all that, which is definitely a major problem. But there's still definite reasons to use PS5 despite being a PC gamer. I mean, I'm a PC gamer myself, and I still have a Switch, and I still want to get a Switch too. So again, there's definite reasons. PC won't completely supersede consoles. It's depending on what your PC has. I mean, my PC is pretty strong. I mean, 16 gigs DDR4 Intel 10400 RTX 3060. That's a totally good PC per se. It can definitely run Doom: The Dark Ages. So yeah, so for me, I don't see much reason to get a PS5 because my PC's strong enough. But if you're still on like a GTX 1080 Ti, I mean that's a good GPU even today. But because Doom: The Dark Ages is 4-star T, you're not gonna run it on a 1080 Ti. So, but if you already have a PS5, then well, you may as well get Doom: The Dark Ages there, not need to upgrade to a new GPU. Even though, sure, admittedly, that would be a decent option. I mean, you can still find like an RTX 5060 for 300 if you're really on a budget. Of course, I probably wouldn't recommend a 5060 because there's other options for cheaper that can perform just as good, and especially with the 5060 being only 8 gigabytes, which personally I don't really think is a major problem. It really comes down to what game you're playing. At least in 1080p, which is what the 5060 is good for. But you get the point. You get the point. If you have a bad PC, then yeah, you probably and already have a PS5, then yeah, you still have some incentives to use that PS5 or Xbox Series X. So, because again, the thing was only like, 'cause again, you only spent like $500 or $550 on PS5 instead of, needing to spend way more for something like an RTX 5090 or whatever. So, yeah, pricing I'd say is not that bad, and again, you can still pick. Of course, you'd still have access to like a Steam Deck, because the Steam Deck 256 gigabyte is only 400 and can still run a lot of games, but still, something like Doom: The Dark Ages or Indiana Jones, not so much. And even if you could get like 60 FPS on a Steam Deck for Doom: The Dark Ages, you still kind of have to deal with the battery being shit. So which kind of just forces you to get a dock, so you can actually play and not worry about the battery dying on you during play. And now the second reason I see people just bashing on consoles a lot is more because of emulation. And now, just to be clear, I don't really do emulation that much. It's because look at the flaws emulation has. Some of them are just tough to install. It's a lot of button clicking you gotta do. It's like when you install Linux distro for the first time, because you realize, oh, what the fuck, I gotta use this terminal. What is that? So yeah. Meanwhile, like original hardware, which is how I would play like old games to begin with. That's because it's just straight plug and play. Just connect the console to your TV or monitor, put the game in, you're good to go. Instead of just needing to dump the game yourself. So, and some emulators also are kind of shit in my opinion. I mean, at least from what I've heard. So, like this is what I've been hearing. It's all about the Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection that's gonna release next month. So mainly, people were talking about how Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection did not have Mortal Kombat Gold on it, is pretty much a soft re-release of Mortal Kombat 4, but only on the Dreamcast and not. Whereas Mortal Kombat 4 itself was on PS1 and N64, and from what I've heard, in general, Dreamcast emulation is kind of crap from what I've heard. I never tried it. I don't think I'll want to, because again, I just think original hardware is the better option, and I'll get to that reason. So yeah, that's definitely reasons why we won't see Mortal Kombat Gold on Legacy Collection, even though I definitely would want to see that, because Sector, I've heard, was absolutely broken in Gold, and I would really love to experience that. But not being able to play Gold on Legacy Collection sucks, because again, emulation for Dreamcast is really crap. And in my honest opinion, I feel like emulation also kind of loses the charm of playing on original hardware, because we'll look at. The Wii is definitely a big example, because sure, playing Dolphin emulator for some weekends is definitely better. Like mainly Metroid Prime, because there's Prime Hack, you can play mouse and keyboard that way. But anything like, let's say, Wii Sports or anything, trying to play it on a mouse, it just doesn't feel the same as using an actual Wii remote. So that's kind of the reason why I just prefer original hardware. And some old consoles are not that hard to come by. Yeah, they can be a bit high priced, and especially some games being high priced, like Metroid Prime Trilogy. That is fucking expensive. Good luck trying to find one. But yeah, so again, original hardware just feels better to use in my opinion, especially given the fact you're using, the actual controller, like using an actual GameCube controller, not just a generic Xbox controller, because there's stuff like the analog triggers and all of that. Okay, well, Xbox controllers do also have analog triggers, but the feel of the GameCube controller just works better for GameCube games, and especially Metroid Prime, with its original controls. A being the fire button, tank controls, C stick being used to switch weapons, and on and on. So, it all made sense with the design of the GameCube controller. But if you try the remaster of Metroid Prime 1 on Switch with the Switch Pro controller or whatever, trying the original controls, then you realize, well, it just doesn't feel the same. Because you realize, for one, most shooters nowadays just use ZR as the shoot button. Splatoon 3 does that, and Metroid Prime Remastered did that, and even Metroid Prime 4 will do that. So, yeah, trying to use A as shoot on a Switch Pro controller just won't feel the same, because, the weird design of the face buttons on the GameCube controller is totally, it's what made GameCube games feel better. And, Smash Bros, Metroid Prime, F-Zero GX, it goes on. So, yeah, that's just my reason for not using emulation. I still would. I have a few PS1 games I inherited from my dad, but, I'd much rather just get an actual PS1, not dump the games, play them on an emulator. Because, again, emulators are a gamble, as I said. Again, some emulators are better than others, sure, but, that's just my reasoning here. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure we could just go on, but I'm sure you're kind of getting the idea at this point. So, consoles aren't completely invalidated by PC, even though PC definitely has some very good benefits. I mean, again, free online multiplayer, Steam sales, it goes, even mouse and keyboard, sure, even though a lot of games on consoles can still play mouse and keyboard, just not as much as PC, obviously. But, yeah, you still get the point. There's definitely reasons to prefer PC over consoles, but, at the same time, if you still have a console, you still have PS5, Xbox, or Switch, then that's also not a bad choice, in my honest opinion. And you shouldn't trust the people who will just make videos calling out console fanboys. Again, there are those that are just total PC extremists, saying that you should never buy any console because of this or that or whatever. So, yeah, in a way, that's just so. Yeah, I guess you can say, and yeah, that's pretty much true with other platforms, and even for consoles too. There's like other reasons to prefer this platform over that. I'd say mainly just for Switch too, because again, if you already have a powerful PC, then you don't have a reason to really get PS5 and Xbox Series X. So the only console you'd really end up getting that wouldn't be a waste would be the Switch 2, in my opinion. And again, mainly because, the exclusives are actually exclusive. Whereas, well, for PS5 and Xbox, they're just on other consoles. They're just on interchangeable. They just interchange with the platforms, I mean, we have Forza Horizon on Xbox and also PC, especially the case with the upcoming Forza Horizon 6. And of course, Spider-Man 2 is one of them as well. So, yeah, it goes on. Exclusives. So, yeah, you don't really get the PS5 and Xbox Series X for the exclusives. That's one thing. You get it because your PC sucks and you really can't be bothered to upgrade. Of course, if you had the money, then yes, definitely upgrade. But there's still there's still other reasons aside from that to still use a PS5 or Xbox Series X. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have for this video. So the point is, yeah, console bashers are just dumb people because again, they don't really say. They just say, oh, there's not a reason to buy a console at all. You just get a powerful PC. Because, again, a powerful PC, especially Prevo, it's just hard to find when it's under 1,000 and using newest hardware, But, people just kind of just act like PC gaming requires the newest hardware to play properly, when that's just not the case. Again, RTX 20 series is still viable, because I mean, the minimum specs for Doom the Dark Ages say you just need a minimum RTX 2060 Super. So, yeah, literally anything that says RTX, just get. You're good to go. Get an RTX 2070 for like 200 or so, and pair with like a Ryzen 3600, 16 gigs RAM. You can get a PC you can build a PC that's like under 500. Same price, but again, if you already have PS5, then I mean, you could. I mean, I would still recommend getting a good enough PC, just because you don't want to deal with subscription for multiplayer and all that. But if you just don't want to spend anything at all because you already have PS5, then that's totally reasonable. I totally accept that reason. So yeah, that's basically all I have for this video. If you enjoyed, give the video a like, subscribe, and yeah, that's all I have. Thanks for watching.